Welcome! Thank you so much for joining me on the Socially Delightful podcast. I'm Jewel, human connection enthusiast and your host, and this show is all about delighting in yourself, delighting in socializing and in others, and creating truly supportive, delightful friendships and relationships, even in our modern world with our modern stress. In this podcast, we have fun creating a new culture of living in social delight. Now let's dive into how we're going to do that today.
Hey friends, and welcome back to the... Hey friends! And Nick, you can just keep that in there. You know, it is what it is. But hey, welcome to another episode of the Socially Delightful podcast. I'm delighted to have you here, and today we're going to be talking about what to do if you don't have a friend group to Friendsgiving with, to New Year's Eve with. And I just want to start by saying, first and foremost, these gatherings, these New Year's Friendsgiving gatherings are not about aesthetics. Can we, what in the world? Like, Pinterest is just out here trying to convince me that I need an absolutely aesthetic tableware set. Anyway, if you're feeling a little FOMO this Friendsgiving season because you don't have a big friend group to gather with, you're not broken, and this episode was made for you. From my heart to your heart. We're going to be talking about why it's okay to not have a friend group, the larger cultural forces at play, and some meaningful and doable ideas to celebrate friendship in your own way to increase the meaningful connection in your life. So first off, if you are watching cute Friendsgiving montages and you're like, oh my God, why don't I have a perfectly curated group of quirky yet loving friends? Please know that you are not alone. A lot of adults don't have a central friend group, but instead have individual friendships that don't necessarily overlap. And guess what? That's completely normal. Not having a Friendsgiving group does not mean that you are unlikable. It does not mean that you are doing something wrong or even that you are fundamentally wrong. You're not. Okay? Honestly, that dynamic of not having a central friend group is normal in general. It's neutral. And it's also a result of some of the larger cultural forces that are at play. I mean, think about it. Y'all work from home, isolated in our own homes, not going out and spending times with our coworkers, a group of friends, if you will, scrolling on our phones. These things are designed to literally suck up our time, keep our attention, to keep us from not talking to people. I don't know about y'all, but social media doesn't seem so social to me anymore. Long work hours, the rising cost of activities, like fun activities to do with friends. There's so many things that I could say about the cultural forces at play.
We're broke.
There was a study done by the Survey Center on American Life, and they found that young adults today have fewer close friends than ever. Close friends. Fewer close friends than ever. And this is really important for me to start off with because here's where a lot of people trip themselves up. They start thinking if I were more fun, if I were more interesting, more likable, then I would have that friend group by now. And no, you could be the human equivalent of something that damn near everybody likes, like puppies and pizza, and still not have a friend group if your social structure doesn't support it. But that craving of a group of belongingness, what you are feeling isn't a sign to change yourself. It's your brave waving a little flag saying, hey, let's work on building some meaningful connection. Let's work on building some belonging because it's something that I need. We all need.
I need it!
So here are some things that you can do instead. If you have one good friend, you can make your own little Friendsgiving. You can't. There are no rules to this shit. Invite them over for takeout and sweatpants. Like, seriously, just order some fries and toast to your friendship. Science shows that intentional one-on-one time builds deeper bonds anyway. So it's one way to get your cup filled up. You could plan a micro gathering. If you're not a fan of hosting a big bash or hosting a completely aesthetic and Pinterest-worthy experience, host a micro gathering. aka a super chill night with like 2 to 3 people. Potluck it, game night it, or even just like meet up for a coffee run with pumpkin spice lattes. It doesn't need to be fancy and labeled as a Friendsgiving to count. You could volunteer or give back. If you're like, yeah, I want to do this, but I also want to do something else. I want to do something that will really help me feel belonging. Being involved in your community is really going to help that. And we know over and over again, like how many studies show us that giving is actually more fun than receiving. So volunteer. Studies show that helping others boosts oxytocin, the same warm and fuzzy feeling, the same and warm and fuzzy hormone we feel from connection. Plus, you get to meet like-minded people. And you might be like, yeah, but these people are much older than me, or they are really religious and I'm not. Connection is connection. You don't have to have everything in common. So I really encourage y'all to get out in your community and volunteer.
I volunteer as tribute.
Another thing that you can do to really fill up your cup with meaningful connection is to send some small gratitude notes. So even if you're not hanging out with friends in person, you can take a moment to send them a gratitude text. Something like, hey, I am really thankful for you. And pouring out a little bit of your heart. This is vulnerable. And we know that vulnerability helps increase connection. And it doesn't always have to happen face to face. Now you might be like, oh, great. Now I just have to give more to other people and like just expend myself. Like, what if these people don't care about me? Here's what I want to offer. Sending these gratitude notes, sending these gratitude texts, whether you write them or text them, sending these messages allows you to feel good in your body. Think about it. You're the one that gets to feel the gratitude as you are writing it. So that's another option. Another thing that you can do is you can start to invest in new connections. So if you're wanting more friendships in your life, consider taking small steps like joining a hobby group, attending a local event, or even saying yes to that one like slightly awkward invite that you're like, I don't know if we would like be great friends. Again, you don't have to have everything in common to create connection. In small steps, big impact. And if you are looking to give back this year, and if you are looking to get involved in your community, I created a freebie, something that I would have wanted if I wasn't involved in this space, of a huge list of national organizations here in the States that have chapters all over the country that you can join. And it breaks them down into categories for immigration, reproductive rights, climate change. So all these ways that you can get involved. I also, in this guide, ask you questions to make sure that you aren't burning yourself out and you're actually choosing a way to give back that is really fulfilling for you. You can get that freebie. So you can get that freebie down below. Now, if you're like, okay, this is great, this is awesome, what about New Year's? What if my people are doing different things with their friend groups? You can ask to join. I can't tell you how often I have done that in my life. You can ask to join. You could send gratitude texts to your individual friends that maybe don't overlap, and you can ask to join one of their New Year's. One thing that I'm also planning on doing, and I have friends that are probably going to be doing a bunch of different things. I have some friends that overlap. And I know what I really want to do this New Year's is I want to relax, eat some good food, reflect. I really want to go out or anything like that. And so I'm going to invite some people to do that with me. And whoever shows. And I'm going to do what I want to do and reflect and offer for them to reflect as well. I did this last year. I had some girlfriends over and we all brought little charcuterie boards. And some of these people, by the way, y'all, are not like initially friends, but became friends, started to overlap, if you will, a little bit just by me hosting. So don't get super hung up on like, oh, I can't have an event like that if like these people aren't friends. They can also begin to become friends. Anyway, I did this last year and I was like, okay, I want us to all reflect on things that we are proud of, like 5 things that we are proud of from this year. And we all did, and we all went around and shared, and it was so nice, so fun. And again, not all of these people were really close. again, I'm going to do that again this year. It's kind of late in the year to plan something like that. So I don't know who's going to come, but even if it's just me, myself, and I, and my cat, I'm going to have a good time, right? So those are some more options. But hey, before we wrap up this episode, I just want to take a moment to tell you that you are doing so much better than you think.
I find you guilty of murder because you are killing it.
It is not easy navigating friendship in a world that makes it feel like connection is just really out of reach. But you're here and you're trying, and that says so much about you. And I know that it could feel lonely sometimes, but I want you to remember that connection is a skill that you can grow, and that real meaningful friendships don't happen overnight, but they are built one tiny, brave moment at a time. They are built through moments of connection at a time. And moments of connection can happen in an instant. And if you're craving more insights on how to create deeper friendships, more meaningful friendships, definitely check out episode 2 of the Socially Delightful podcast. It's about the science of friendship. And I am explaining to my 2 best friends how I made them my friends and applied the science of friendship to them. And stay tuned because I have so many good episodes coming your way because, y'all, we are in this together. Creating a culture of connection in a world that desperately needs it. You're not just like listening along to this podcast, you are a part of that change. So I'm so grateful for you tuning in, and I hope that this little podcast is like a warm hug to your soul, because remember, connection is not about being perfect. It's about showing up as you are, and you, my friend, you're pretty amazing just as you are. And I just really want to end on the note that just because we are in a culture of isolation, that we do have a loneliness epidemic, and that nothing is wrong with you because of the cultural forces at play that do make friendship and community more difficult than they have in the past, I also want to remind y'all that it can be really easy, really fulfilling. And one thing that really helps you fill up your own cup so that you can expend that little bit of effort to reach out to somebody and have the energy to expend that little bit of effort to follow up with somebody's text is to start filling up your own cup and connecting with yourself. So again, I hope this episode felt like a warm hug. I hope that it helped give you some ideas of things that you can do if you don't have a friend group to have a Friendsgiving or a New Year's with. And I hope that it reminded you to be really compassionate with yourself. Even if you're just watching this video right now, if you just want to like give yourself a little squeeze from me, and what's called an affectionate breath, which is breathing and just feeling compassion for yourself and your body. If you do that, as any of my clients will tell you, it will fuel you to keep going out there, to keep creating more connections. And what happens when we create more connections, more connective moments? We create more friendships. So stay tuned for more episodes on how to build friend groups and things like that. And let me know what stuck out to you about this episode and what you want to hear next. All right, y'all. Happy holidays. Happy connecting.
Thanks for joining me on the Socially Delightful podcast. I'm Jewel, and I'm truly so grateful that you came and hung out with me today. If this podcast meant something to you, it would mean so much to me if you left me a review so that way I could keep making content that you love. And if you really want to make my whole day, share this podcast to your Instagram story and tag me at Connection with Jewel so I can shout you out. Or send me a message and let me know what resonated with you or what you want to hear next. And I'll see you at the next episode.